So what are we going to do today, Cousin BW?
The same thing we do every day, Melvin. Try to take over the neighborhood. Hey y'all, Bloodwing here. Back to bring some grumpiness to the internet. And it's that time of the week again. You all know what time it is.
Oh, Cousin BW. I know what time it is. I know it's time for Heifer of the Week. I sure do like those.
That's right, Melvin. It's time for Heifer of the Week. But I thought before we got on with this week's edition, I might give a little definition for you non-rednecks out there. A heifer, in actuality, is a young cow that has not calved, has not had any offspring. In the 1830s, when it was first used towards human beings, it was actually meant as a compliment. A heifer was a good-looking woman. Over the years, particularly in my culture and also in black culture, heifer has come to mean something else. Now, most people think that it just means a fat or ugly woman, and yes, it's used in that way today sometimes. But during my childhood and growing up, it was used more toward a young woman that thought she knew everything, but didn't know anything, knows nothing. And that's the definition that I use for heifer when I say that this person is a heifer, or when I'm nominating the next heifer of the week. That's what I'm referring to. A young woman that believes that she knows everything, but in actuality knows nothing.
You know nothing, Jon Snow.
So with that in mind, we'll go ahead and get ready for this week's edition of
Heifer of the Week.
I fall in love too easily.
Hey, it's Kelsey. How's it going? I hope it's going good. So today I am back with a new video, and look where I am. Not a new setup, but welcome back to another segment of Kelsey's Corner.
Cousin BW, that don't look much like a corner to me.
Hush, Marvin.
I haven't done a Kelsey's Corner video in a long time. I've only done one before. I plan to do a lot more in this future. Today here in Kelsey's Corner, our topic is going to be feminism, the F word. Let's talk about it.
Oh, joy. Joy. How about we not talk about it and say we did? Probably not, huh? Alright, well, go ahead.
Feminism is a topic that I've wanted to talk about on my channel for a really long time, and I am a very open feminist. Basically, today I wanted to do a Feminism 101 kind of deal. So, if you don't really know a lot about feminism, and you kind of want to know about it, whether you consider yourself a feminist or you don't, and in no way I am saying that I am an expert on feminism, because I'm not, and actually I'm not at all, and I just want to point that out, and I just kind of want to make this video because I know so many people that don't really understand the idea of feminism itself.
Oh, believe me, we know what feminism is. But didn't you just say that you're not an expert on it and emphasized it with at all? But you're going to educate us on just what it is because you feel like so many people don't understand it. I'm confused.
So this video is kind of to explain this, and yeah, let's get into it. First off, I want to define some things. Feminism is the political, economic, and social theory that all sexes are equal.
Yes. We're all too aware that that's the dictionary definition of feminism. And you know what? If that's what it really was, in actuality, I wouldn't have any problem with it at all. But we also all know that's not what it is. It's about the furtherance of women and in extreme cases, even to the detriment of men. I prefer egalitarianism, which indeed is the idea that everyone, regardless of sex, race, or creed, is equal. But please do go on, miss. I'm not an expert.
Many people get this mixed up with misandry, which is the idea that women are better than men, or that, men suck, basically.
You're fucking a white male! So? You're a white man!
Shut the fuck up for the 50th billionth time!
This is what men's rights look like! This is what men's rights look like! This is what men's rights look like! This is what men's rights look like!
Yeah, murder! You're fucking scum! Fuck you! They're fucking pigs! You should be fucking ashamed of yourself. You're fucking scum. You are fucking scum. Fucking rape apologist, incest supporting, woman hating, fucking scum.
Is there someone else I can wait? Does she want to follow me?
You're fucking scum. Yeah.
Wow. I just don't have any idea where anyone would get that idea. Do you?
Feminism kind of has a bad rep because lots of people kind of think of it as the same thing as misandry. Just a few bad feminists come in and they change so many people's perspective on the idea of feminism. And I think that's so horrible, because if you define yourself as a feminist, but in reality you think that women are better than men, you are actually a misandrist. And that is not feminism at all. Feminism is the idea that we are all equal when it comes to our gender. And I don't see what's so wrong about that.
Yeah, I've heard this argument before too. They argue, well, you guys let a few bad apples spoil the whole bunch. Unfortunately, that's what everybody sees. That's what's out front. And in the time I've been dealing with this, I haven't met just a very few feminists that are even willing to talk in an adult and mature fashion with our side at all. It always comes down to accusations and throwing stones. So what do you expect? This is what is seen. Maybe you truly feel that it's about equality for both sexes. And if you do, I applaud you. I think you're going about it the wrong way. If you hold up feminists' ideals of today's feminists, a lot of this stuff is just garbage. It's bunk. It doesn't exist. But that's not what feminism today is, and you need to look around you. It's not just a few bad apples spoiling the bunch. It's what the majority of it is today, I'm afraid.
Then we get into the idea of misogyny, which is the idea that men are better than women, or just are more powerful than women. Those are the three words that I wanted to define: feminism, misandry, and misogyny. Something that I hear a lot, actually, is why do women in today's society need feminism? I mean, we can vote, we can vote.
Aren't you just cute? Here, let me help you out there, since you seem to be having a little trouble figuring it out. Yeah, you got the vote. You got a lot of divorce rights out of First Way. You've got the right to equal pay, although I'm sure as a feminist you'll deny that. You have the right to the same jobs that we have, although you'll deny that. You actually have more rights in most states than men do when it comes to child custody and divorce. There's a lot of things you can do. Your little joke was not a joke.
Of course, we have so many more rights than we did a long, long time ago, but there's still a long way to go.
Citations needed, or are we just supposed to take your word for that?
And a lot of the things that have to do with modern day feminism is, the social aspects of it. Very few of the ideas when it comes to feminism are actually economic or political. That doesn't mean that the ideas of feminism that are economic and political aren't important, because they are very important, just like all the other aspects of feminism.
Not economic or political, huh? Then why is it that that's all I ever hear out of them? All I ever hear is about the supposed wage gap, or that there's not enough female politicians in Western countries in positions of power and things like that. But it's not economic or political. Sweetheart, do you remember at the beginning of this when I gave the definition of heifer? That's a young lady that thinks she knows what she's talking about, but just doesn't. Yeah, keep that in mind.
Why do women in today's society need feminism? One, the idea that women are these delicate little creatures, in that men are these powerful and strong human beings. It's a very old way of thinking, and it's still being transferred in today's society.
No, it isn't. I don't know who's filling your head full of this stuff, or maybe you're just coming up with yourself. But that's wrong. Nobody today thinks, unless they're an idiot, at least none of the people I know thinks that women can't, for the most part, within reason, do what men do. They can do the same jobs, they can have the same careers and all that. Now, if you're talking about physically, well, that's just science, sweetie. Men are bigger and stronger, for the most part, than women. You know, you're not going to have a woman, say, play American football. She'd get creamed. I've heard some say, well, they could be a kicker. No. The punter's expected to be the last line of defense. If the punt returner breaks free, first time a woman jumped out in front of one of these guys at full speed, she's going to get run over and maybe literally killed. You know, yes, you have these muscle-bound chicks that build their muscles all up. I got news for you. Most of them, to get that big, have to take male hormones because the female body just isn't made that way. And even they aren't as strong as their male counterparts. Are there some women that are bigger and stronger than the average male? Yeah. I met one once. I met a female bodybuilder in a past job I used to have, and she was very strong. But if you compared her to someone that was a male bodybuilder, it wouldn't even be close. I'm sorry, science is against you on that, if that's what you mean. But nobody thinks that a woman can't do the same careers, the same jobs. You're right. That's a very outdated way of thinking. And it is so because it doesn't exist anymore. Unless you're just a complete inbred idiot.
A second reason would be that sadly rape victims are still being asked, what were you wearing? During the court sentence, as if that really matters.
I swear, I think the next time I hear that argument, I'm just going to lose it. I'm going to go berserk. My head's going to explode. I hear it over and over again and never hear a citation with it. This is just stuff that people have fed you, chickie, and you bought it hook, line, and sinker. Give me one example. One example of this happening in today's courtroom. I'm waiting. Oh, what's that? Didn't find anything? Huh. I rest my case, and you should too.
If I were to put that situation into a category, it would have to be, societal standards on women's dress. So basically what I'm trying to say is that women have a lot more rules or standards when it comes to dress. If you show a lot of skin you are a slut, you are a whore, you are a skank, you know?
I call bull again. They don't have any more rules. It's just what society deems decent. It's a matter of decency. Man can't dress just any way he wants to and go in. Try going into a fancy restaurant without a tie. They'll tell you to go put one on. Try going into any public space with no shoes or shirt on. They'll tell you to go get some. Yeah. It's just... Men got rules too. They're just different. But I bet you this is going somewhere. What, probably, school dress maybe?
All of this kind of leads into number 3, which is, why are people still getting dress coded for showing their shoulders and their collarbones?
I called it.
Us women are considered a distraction to young boys in school because they can't handle themselves, I guess. And that is another reason that we need feminism, and why men need feminism too, is because men aren't animals. They can control themselves. They can see a collarbone and be okay. People have to get sent home, or people have to get forced to change because they are showing their shoulder, because they're showing their collarbone. It's so unbelievably crazy to think that. And it all comes from the sexualization of women.
Okay, first of all, I know that as I've gotten older, it gets harder and harder for me to tell people's age, because most people are quite a bit younger than I am. And so it's harder to tell how old they are. But you don't strike me as being a schoolgirl. So why are you worried about dress codes in elementary, junior high, high school? Because that's where you're going to find dress codes most often. Secondly, schools are a place of learning, not a place of showing off your body or all of those things. Of course, we've lost sight of that. That's why things like feminism and racism against white people are taught in our schools these days, because we've lost sight. It's a place of learning. I have no problem with it if they think that showing their shoulders or collarbone is distracting, to make a dress code where they can't, because they're supposed to be focusing on learning. And don't give me this sexualization stuff. If the girl didn't want you to look, she wouldn't bear it. And you've got no argument for that. You would ignore it and argue something else. You'd deflect. And then lastly, the key word here is, you said men. But in these schools, we're talking about boys. Boys haven't yet learned the control that men have. You know, maybe as men, and not all men. That's why they end up in jail. That's why there's rapists. There's some men that can't control themselves. But most of us learn to control ourselves by the time we reach adulthood. We may look, we may admire a woman, but we've learned that it's just not worth it, and we keep it to ourselves. Boys haven't learned that yet. Boys are still going through a whirlwind of hormones. I'm not so old I can't remember puberty. These boys are still trying to figure it all out. Okay? So they don't need any extra stuff in front of their eyes. You know, these are kids at the age that are still, you know, trying to steal or smuggle out the skin mags of their dads or their older brothers or their uncles or whatever, and think it's the biggest deal in the world to steal off and sneak off somewhere and look at those. Well, of course, today we have the internet. So as soon as mom and dad's back is turned, they're looking at porn. They're still trying to figure it all out. They're not men. And again, why are you worried about it? You're too old.
And I know that to you people who do not consider yourself feminists, you think, oh my god, she's bringing up the sexualization of women, we better get the hell out of here. But women are totally and completely sexualized in today's society. Granted, men are too when it comes to Calvin Klein ads, when it comes to anything that teenage girls would be, interested in. Women are kind of considered these sex objects, these sex symbols. Our bodies are used to sell beer, our bodies are used to sell, a lot of alcohol, a lot of burgers, you know what I mean? Stuff like that.
Something that you look like you know quite a bit about.
It all kind of goes into how when women show skin or a part of their body that isn't sexy or something like that, it can still be dress coded because women's bodies are sexualized to the point where a shoulder or a collarbone can be, an automatic send to the principal's office, which is actually really sad. For, like I said, women are kind of seen as sex objects, and that's really sad.
Now, I let this run a while, and on purpose, because I figured I'd tackle it all at once. And as you can see, she's still hung up about school dress code. I don't get that for a woman her age. But let me clue you in, young lady. Yes, women are sexualized. They're made as sex objects. So are men. You even mentioned it yourself briefly and then let it drop and just focused on the women. Both sexes are sexualized. Sex sells, so advertising companies use them. You know why sex sells? Because of genetics. Those ads that have half-naked men in them that are designed toward women work because of genetics. Women are designed to find a certain type of man attractive. All those ads selling beer and burgers and everything else using half-naked women work because men are designed to find women attractive. It's biology, basic biology 101 that I'm sure you learned in junior high. So why is it such a surprise? And why are you so offended by it? I mean, it's the way things are supposed to work. It makes me wonder if perhaps you protest too much because you're a little jealous. Maybe you don't think you're found sexy enough. I don't know. Just speculation.
When people do get dress coded, it's because, boys, they can't contain themselves, but that has a negative impact on both men and women. Men because they can control themselves, they're not animals, and women because, that's giving us the idea that our bodies are wrong, that we are just, made for sex, and that our bodies are so sexual that he can't contain it, so we better cover up.
And again, you're comparing men to boys. You can't compare. Men haven't learned, or boys haven't learned that self-control yet. Men have. But our bodies are sexual. I mean, it's in order to further our race and to keep populating the world, we need sex. My gosh, what is wrong with you, lady? Again, it makes me wonder what the underlying reasons is that you're so obsessed with the fact that we shouldn't be sexualized, that we shouldn't be sexual. Wonder how long that it would take for the world to die out if we all quit being sexual. No, it doesn't give the wrong idea. Men know they're not animals, but they know they have a pretty strong sex drive. And women shouldn't feel that their body is wrong. It's rather that their body is right in all the right places. And that's what guys are looking at. And that's what these schools are trying to cover up. We're talking about children. Now, I don't know if I've got any people under the age of 21 or 18 on my channel. I get the picture that I have an older group, and that's fine. And if you're a younger person, that's fine too. Welcome. But at that age, in your teens, in your early 20s, you're really not grown up yet. You might think you are, but trust me, in 10, 15 years, you'll realize that you really weren't. Honey, you got to quit comparing these two. They're apples and oranges.
You know, it's such a stupid concept. And 5 is one thing that I wanted to bring up is the pay gap. Everyone knows about the pay gap, or the wage gap, or whatever you want to call it. Lots of people are like, it's not real, it's not real. I can totally go into this in a total other video. It's just something that I wanted to add in.
So you throw the wage gap out there, which I knew you would eventually, without any evidence. Drop a hint that you would just do another video on that. And I looked on your channel and I haven't seen that video, sweetheart. So, in other words, you're talking out your butt. You're just throwing crap out there and just to poison the well. Is exactly what you're doing.
And moving on, guess what? Men can benefit from feminism too. You know, men have these standards, they have to be buff, they have to be masculine, they have to, you know, they have to have sex with all the girls, they have to, you know, it's just, there's so many standards, depending on where you are, what, you know, community you are around.
Again, I call BS. There's many different types of men as there are different types of women. These are fallacies that you've been taught because obviously you don't know too many men in your life, do you? Because you're buying this bull. Yeah, we just all have to be buff. That's why there's so many beer guts around my neighborhood, and myself included. And we all have to be this big macho man all the time. That's why there's effeminate men out there. There's men that aren't quite so feminine but aren't all that masculine. There's all different types of men. Now, do men have problems that women don't? Sure they do. But they're not the ones that you're listed. So don't give me this garbage that feminism would be good for me too. It's at its very core, it's designed to only be good for women. I mean, hence the name, feminism. You know, if it was good for everybody, the name wouldn't focus on just one side. But anyway, the rest of this video, I'm going to cut it short here. It's just her stumbling around the idea that feminism is just equality for everybody, and she again reiterates how she's not too bright, isn't good at history, and can't go any more in depth. So we'll just end it here, and we'll crown this thing here the Heifer of the Week. And that's all there is for this time, folks. And as always, get out of my yard.
If you came around more, you know the inside joke. You know my favorite current song and how I plan to vote. There wouldn't be this catching up like long lost lonely friends. We jump right in yesterday and like how The Walking Dead ends. I'm so lonely, my heart has pains inside. Your love, a warm blanket, and it's so cold outside. Not Taylor Swift, I wouldn't write these lines because you broke my heart. But of all the people in the world, it just